"This has to be a joke," Michael Harrison said, tossing my carefully prepared proposal onto his mahogany desk. "You want us to completely rebuild our software platform based on some wild theory about cloud integration." I stood in his corner office at Vertex Solutions, trying to keep my composure as 6 months of research and development was dismissed in seconds. The Seattle rain tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows, matching my sinking mood. "It's not a theory, Michael," I explained, pulling up market research on my tablet. "Every analysis shows enterprise software is moving to the cloud. If we don't adapt..." "Listen, Alex," he cut me off, leaning back in his leather chair. "You're a good developer, but you don't understand business. Vertex has been providing on-premise solutions for 20 years. Our clients trust us because we're stable, reliable, traditional. My name is Alex Foster." And at that moment, I was watching my boss make the biggest mistake of his career, though neither of us knew it yet. "Our biggest clients are already asking about cloud options," I persisted. "IBM, Microsoft, even Oracle are all moving in this direction. We need to." "What we need," Michael interrupted again, "is for you to focus on maintaining our existing systems, not chasing trendy buzzwords." He stood up, signaling the conversation was over. As I reached for my proposal, he grabbed it first, crumpled it into a ball, and tossed it in his Trome wastebasket. "This meeting never happened," he said. "Get back to work on the Henderson account updates. That's what pays your salary." I left his office feeling numb. 3 years at Vertex, countless late nights and weekends spent coding. And this was what I had to show for it. My innovation literally in the trash. Back at my desk, I opened my development environment and stared at the code I'd been working on. Not the mundane updates Michael wanted, but my own version of what Vertex's software could become. I'd built a prototype in my spare time, proving that cloud migration wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. How'd it go? I looked up to see Samantha Wright, our lead QA engineer, perched on the edge of my desk. She was one of the few people I trusted with my ideas about modernizing our platform. "About as well as you predicted," I sighed. "Michael thinks cloud computing is a trend." Sam shook her head. "He's going to run this company into the ground. You know the Martinez account is already talking to Cloud Tech about switching." I did know. I'd been the one who discovered their migration plans while doing routine maintenance. It wasn't just Martinez either. Several of our biggest clients were quietly exploring cloud-based alternatives. "Maybe I should have waited," I said, more to myself than Sam. "Built more proof of concept. Or maybe," she lowered her voice, "you should take your ideas somewhere else. Somewhere they'll be appreciated." The thought had crossed my mind. I'd even received a few recruiting emails from competing firms. But I believed in what I'd built, in what Vertex could become if only. My computer pinged with a calendar invite. Mandatory team meeting. 4 p.m. Strange. Michael never called late-day meetings unless... "Layoffs," Sam whispered, seeing the notification. "Third quarter numbers must be worse than we thought." She was right. At 4 p.m., we gathered in the main conference room. Michael stood at the front, flanked by HR representatives. His face had that fake sympathetic look executives practice for exactly these moments. As part of our ongoing optimization efforts, he began, "We're making some strategic adjustments to our workforce." I tuned out the corporate buzzwords, already knowing where this was going. When they started calling names, mine was among the first. "Please collect your personal belongings. HR will escort you out." As I packed my desk, I noticed Michael watching from his office. There was something in his expression, not quite triumph, but satisfaction. He found a way to get rid of the irritating developer with his disruptive ideas. What he didn't know was that I'd seen this coming. For weeks, I'd been carefully backing up my personal work, documenting my ideas, ensuring that everything I'd developed independently was secured. The prototype I'd built wasn't on Vertex's servers. It lived in my private cloud account, along with all my research and designs. Sam caught me at the elevator. "This is wrong," she said, hugging me quickly. "They're making a huge mistake." I smiled, feeling strangely calm. Maybe not. Maybe this is exactly what needs to happen. She slipped me her personal card. "Keep in touch. Something tells me you're not done disrupting things." In the parking garage, I sat in my car watching the rain fall on the windshield. 3 years of my life, dismissed with a form letter and an escort out. But as I thought about my prototype, about the future I could see so clearly while others remained blind, a plan began forming. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus Wong, my old roommate from MIT, who now worked at a venture capital firm. "Heard what happened. Remember that conversation we had about cloud enterprise software? Still interested? Call me." I smiled, thinking of the prototype waiting in my private repository. Michael had thrown my proposal in the trash, but he hadn't thrown away my dream. He just freed me to pursue it without constraints. That night, in my small apartment overlooking Lake Union, I opened my laptop and began writing a new proposal. Not for Vertex this time, but for myself. The first line read, "Cloud Core, the future of enterprise software." My phone kept buzzing with messages from coworkers, expressions of sympathy and support. But I barely noticed them. I was too busy laying the groundwork for what would become Michael Harrison's worst nightmare. "Focus on maintaining existing systems," he'd said. "I plan to do much more than that. I planned to make those systems obsolete." Opening my development environment, I began coding with renewed purpose. Every line was a step away from Vertex, from Michael's short-sightedness, from the limitations others tried to place on innovation. By midnight, I had the outline of a business plan and the core architecture for what would become the most revolutionary enterprise software platform the industry had ever seen. Michael had thrown away my proposal thinking he was maintaining the status quo. Instead, he had just created his biggest competitor. And I was just getting started. 18 months after Michael Harrison threw my proposal in the trash, I stood in front of the Martinez Group's executive board, watching their faces as I demonstrated Cloud Core's capabilities. The same clients who had been quietly planning to leave Vertex were now openly amazed by what they saw. This migration would take hours, not months, their CTO asked, leaning forward in his chair. "Actually," I smiled, "it takes 47 minutes. We ran a test simulation with your exact database structure." The room erupted in murmurs. Behind me, the screen showed Cloud Core effortlessly handling processes that Vertex's legacy system struggled with for weeks. Every feature was a direct response to problems I'd watched clients battle for years. Problems Michael had insisted weren't worth solving. "And the cost savings?" their CFO asked. "Approximately 68% reduction in operational expenses," I replied, "with guaranteed uptime of 99.99%. More murmurs. These were numbers that seemed impossible, unless you understood exactly how outdated Vertex's architecture had become. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Marcus, wanting to know how the presentation was going. After that first text the night I was fired, he'd become more than just a venture capitalist. He was now Cloud Core's lead investor and biggest cheerleader. That initial meeting with his firm had changed everything. Let me get this straight. Marcus had said, staring at my prototype demo. "You built this while working at Vertex?" And Harrison threw it away, along with 3 years of my career, I'd confirmed. Marcus had laughed, but not like Michael had. This was the laugh of someone seeing an opportunity others had missed. "Their loss," he'd said, pulling out his phone. "Let me make some calls." Within a week, we'd secured $5 million in seed funding. Within a month, I'd hired my first team, including Sam Wright, who'd quit Vertex the moment she saw what we were building. "Their QA department is a joke anyway," she'd said, dropping her resignation letter on Michael's desk. "And Alex actually understands where technology is going." Now, watching the Martinez executives marvel at CloudCore, I thought about how different this was from my last presentation at Vertex. No dismissal, no condescension, just pure appreciation for innovation done right. "Mr. Foster," the CEO spoke up. "How soon can we begin implementation?" I tried not to smile too broadly. "We can start tomorrow. And please, call me Alex." Back at CloudCore's offices, a modern space in downtown Seattle with views that made Vertex's building look shabby, Sam was waiting with our team. "Well?" she asked. Though my expression had already given it away. "Martinez Group is in," I confirmed. "Full platform migration, 3-year contract." The room erupted in cheers. On our wall of client logos, Martinez would be the biggest yet, and the 3rd major client we'd taken from Vertex. "Oh, and you're going to love this," Sam grinned, pulling up an email on her screen. "Guess who just posted a job listing for Cloud Integration Specialist on their website?" I leaned over to look. Sure enough, Vertex Solutions was finally, desperately trying to catch up to where I'd wanted to take them 2 years ago. "A bit late," I mused, "especially since we just hired the top 3 cloud architects in the region." My phone buzzed again, this time with an alert that made me pause. Vertex Solutions stock down 40% after Q3 earnings miss. "Should we send Michael a thank you note?" Sam joked, for giving us the push we needed to build something better. I was about to respond when our office manager stuck her head in. "Alex, there's someone here to see you. Says he's from Vertex's board of directors." "Interesting." I nodded. "Send him in." William Chen, Vertex's lead director, looked distinctly uncomfortable in our modern office space. His suit seemed too formal, too much like the old world we'd left behind. "Mr. Foster," he began, remaining standing despite my gesture toward a chair. "I'll be direct. We've been watching CloudCore's growth with concern." "Concern?" I raised an eyebrow. "Or envy?" He cleared his throat. "Our board believes there might be opportunities for collaboration, perhaps even a merger." I let that hang in the air for a moment, enjoying the irony. "Does Michael know you're here?" "Mr. Harrison is not currently involved in these discussions." I pulled up our client dashboard on my screen, turning it so he could see. "We've taken 47% of Vertex's market share in 18 months. By this time next year, it'll be over 80%. Why would we want to merge?" "Resources," he said quickly. "Market presence. History." "History is exactly the problem," I interrupted. "Vertex is stuck in it. CloudCore is the future. And the future doesn't need to merge with the past. At least consider." "I did consider it," I cut him off. "About 2 years ago in Michael's office. He threw those considerations in the trash. Literally." William's face fell. He knew he was losing this battle. "I'll tell you what," I continued, feeling generous. "When Michael personally admits he was wrong, When he acknowledges that he dismissed innovation because he was too afraid of change, then we can talk about collaboration, but not merger. That ship has sailed. After he left, Sam poked her head in. Merger offer? First of many, I suspect. I nodded. They're finally realizing what they lost. What Michael lost, she corrected. By being too arrogant to listen. My phone buzzed with another message. Martinez Group's CEO. Contract signed. When can your team start? I smiled, thinking of Michael probably sitting in his office, watching his company's stock price fall, wondering how it had all gone wrong. Tell the team to prep for implementation, I told Sam. And maybe send a fruit basket to Michael, to thank him for throwing away the best idea he ever had. That evening, as I worked late in my office, a familiar name popped up in my email, Michael Harrison. Alex, we need to talk. What will it take to end this? I started typing, then deleted it. Then typed again. It was never about ending anything, Michael. It was about building something better. Something you were too afraid to even consider. But thanks for the motivation. Sometimes the best ideas come from the trash. I hit send, then turned back to my work. There was a platform to build, clients to help, and a future to create. Michael had taught me an invaluable lesson. Sometimes rejection is just innovation's way of finding a better path forward. And CloudCore was just getting started. 2 years to the day after Michael Harrison had thrown my proposal in his Trome wastebasket, I stood on stage at the World Technology Summit, preparing to deliver the keynote address. The irony wasn't lost on me. Vertex had never even been invited to this prestigious event, and now here I was, representing the future of enterprise software. In the front row, I could see Marcus grinning like a proud parent. CloudCore had made his venture firm more money in 2 years than they'd seen in the previous decade. Behind him sat Sam and our core team, all wearing the same expression of quiet pride. But what caught my eye was the figure trying to be inconspicuous in the back row, Michael Harrison himself, looking considerably less polished than he had in his corner office days. His appearance wasn't just unexpected, it was a sign of how completely the tables had turned. Ladies and gentlemen, I began. 2 years ago, someone told me that cloud computing was just a trend, that enterprise clients would never abandon traditional software solutions. Today, I'm here to show you how wrong that assumption was. The screens behind me lit up with CloudCore's latest metrics. 84% of the enterprise software market. 99.99% uptime across all systems. Average client cost savings of 71%. Presence in 27 countries. Every number was a direct challenge to Vertex's old way of thinking. Innovation isn't just about building something new, I continued. It's about having the courage to challenge established wisdom, especially when, those in power tell you you're wrong. From the back of the room, I saw Michael shift uncomfortably in his seat. After the keynote, I was swarmed by reporters, investors, and potential clients. CloudCore wasn't just successful anymore. We were setting the standard for the entire industry. The same ideas Michael had dismissed as trendy buzzwords were now being taught in business schools as case studies in revolutionary innovation. Mr. Foster, a young reporter asked, is it true that CloudCore's architecture was originally proposed to Vertex Solutions? Before I could answer, I heard a familiar voice behind me. Yes, it was, and I threw it away. The crowd parted to reveal Michael Harrison, looking both defeated and determined. Can we talk? He asked quietly. Privately? I nodded, leading him to a quiet corner of the conference center. Up close, I could see the toll the past 2 years had taken. Vertex's stock had plummeted 90%, Their clients had fled en masse, and their reputation for stability had been shattered. "I saw your numbers up there," he began. "They're impressive." "They're what I promised you 2 years ago," I replied. "Everything I showed you in that proposal has come true, exactly as predicted." He nodded slowly. "I know. That's why I'm here." "The board? They're replacing me as CEO. Vertex is dying, Alex. We both know it. The market evolved," I said simply. "You chose not to." "I chose wrong," he admitted, and for the first time, I heard genuine regret in his voice. "I was so convinced I knew what our clients needed that I couldn't see the future when it was right in front of me, when you were right in front of me." I let that sink in for a moment. This was the admission I'd once thought I wanted to hear. But now, standing in the aftermath of CloudCore's success, it felt almost unnecessary. "What do you want, Michael?" He pulled out a folder, an actual paper folder, so characteristically old school. "One last proposal. Not a merger, not a takeover. A chance to save what's left of Vertex by letting us become a CloudCore implementation partner. Let us help other companies migrate from legacy systems to your platform." The irony was almost too perfect. You want to help companies move away from the very systems you insisted they'd never abandon? "I deserve that," he nodded. "But think about it. Who knows the pain points of legacy systems better than we do? Who understands what's holding companies back?" I studied him for a moment. The old Michael would have come in with demands, with corporate swagger. This Michael was different, humbled, but perhaps finally ready to learn. "Give me one reason," I said. "One reason that isn't about saving Vertex." He thought for a moment. "Because I was wrong. Not just about the technology, but about you, about innovation, about everything. And maybe helping other companies avoid my mistakes is the best way to make that right." I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text to Sam. "Remember that implementation partner program we discussed? Time to launch it. I'll have our team review the proposal," I told Michael. "But understand something. If we do this, it's not about Vertex. It's about the clients who need to move forward." He nodded quickly. "Of course. Thank you, Alex, for even considering." "Don't thank me yet," I interrupted. "You'll be starting from scratch. No special treatment, no guaranteed contracts. You'll have to earn every client's trust, just like we did." As he walked away, Sam appeared at my elbow. "Are you seriously considering this?" "Why not?" I smiled. "Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your competition. It's making them work for you." The next month was a blur of activity. CloudCore's partner program launched with Vertex as its first participant, though few realized the significance of that partnership. Michael stepped down as CEO, taking a much lower position leading Vertex's new cloud transition team. The tech press had a field day with the story. Former giant becomes implementation partner for innovative startup. But the real story wasn't in the headlines. It was in the quiet moments of transformation. One evening, I found Michael working late in our office, poring over CloudCore's documentation. "Your architecture," he said, looking up as I passed. "It's brilliant. I should have seen it back then." "But you didn't," I replied, "and that's why we're here now." He nodded slowly. "You know what the worst part was? Watching you succeed, knowing I could have been